So much so, the number I've got down here is Merc and Pino are both on an identical 1.18 rating, tied in 6th place. The rest of the players aren't even in the top 23, and I say 23 specifically because Bolo is 24th. Just wanted to get really specific on that one number. On entry-wise, Merc is plus 14, 23 and 9, as opposed to what we heard them talking about with Psycho. So arguably you're seeing stronger performances out of Merc compared to the entries on the other side, but Pino is still balancing out the books. So my money, this is going to be a real slobber knocker, as Demo would say.
Yeah, I think it's going to be... I'm fully expecting, I am fully prepared for 3 maps here. I think Coastline is going to be a sticking point potentially for TSM. I feel like they need something here on Kafe. We talk about LATAM teams, we talk about Coastline. If you don't have a Coastline game, you can't compete in the BR6. It's pretty much as simple as that. So NIP, we know, are going to be very strong there. Bans are rounded out. Thatcher, Flores, Mira and Valkyrie. No major surprises. Pretty standard for what we've seen for Kafe so far.
Yeah, I mean, the Flores, I spoke about it all week long, Tim. It's becoming one of my hot favourite operators to see picked up, and also one of the favourite ones to see banned away, because teams will just chew through things like Goyo. And I was just about to say, Bolo used to be their old Goyo main before they changed around a couple of roles. But on this map, they're saying to Merc, you know what? You're fragging pretty well, buddy. Get back on the entry. Bolo can go back to playing flex, which was the changes they had prior to coming into this competition. So sort of a reversion back to the days of old for TSM here. Whether or not it comes out big for them is anyone's guess, but I'm very excited to see.
Why are people trying to make me cry on Valentine's Day, Des?
So, for those
trying to do it to me? Why are they doing this to me?
Basically, Tim's whole thing here is Bar Cocktail is one of the worst defender-rated sites in EUL. I haven't looked at the stats for SI.
I haven't looked at the stats for SI, but if
let's do it now, shall we?
Have a little look now, Des, but just go in. I will literally base this on what we have seen. And I can tell you now, every time we've seen this top floor, we've seen probably a 75% attacker win rate on this top floor.
It's joint second worst, second best. Service cooking has got 45%, mining dining is 62%, and then bar cocktail and reading dining are 51%.
It's a 50-50 site at best. There's stronger sites here on Kafe, generally speaking. At least, like I say, out of the games that we have seen, I've rolled that out every single time, same complaint, and it's been proved correct every single time. I think we've had, like, 1 win out of 3 choices generally has been probably a reasonable average. We will see if TSM can do it any better. The one thing that I will say is I don't think, from memory, we've seen a North American side try to hold this site down. We know that, regionally things are done differently. Maybe TSM brings something to the table and they show us how this is done, Des. That's what I want out of them in round number 1. We are into the action, 30 seconds in. NIP getting themselves up to the rooftop, all up there safely. We're not going to have any speculative nitro throws, I don't think. Hatches open, Pino droning, and NIP, they can start round number 1.
It's a very standard setup coming out of TSM, to be honest. The only change you'd maybe look at in this lineup would be Gio stepping away from the Aruni and instead bringing along a Wamai, but they don't need that second shield. They've already got so much coming in here that, hey, why bother? I think it's more for the anti-nade utility that I'm looking at to pair up with the Jaeger. Aruni sort of fills that role. 3 laser gates will eat through nades, for example. Teams don't want to see themselves losing out drones. And the Chief is out the window to find the first entry off this series onto Muzi, but Kamikaze's there straight for the trade. Good team play.
Well, what a start we've just had inside of the first minute practically. We've got a kill on either side, and that's what I want to see out of this one. I've just got a feeling it could turn into a real battle of the fraggers. Pino just going to hold down that white corridor for the time being. No nades available, so not much that he can do to actually move Bolo out of position here, but if Bolo is forced back, reveals them toesies, he might just see them getting a little bit of attention from Pino.
Yeah, if he holds tight here for the longest time, then really the onus comes on to NIP to be the ones to make a move. And now they're running out of grenades altogether, right? They've gone through all of their frags, and Bolo has indeed somehow dipped his way out of the bathroom and straight back in. So lost the shield, left the room, and has now dipped his way back in. Got some support from a smoke canister. Pino, knowing that he's going to find nothing here without any nades on side, so has got to come up with a new tactic. TSM holding pretty firm under the assault of those frag grenades, and now that none are left, and we're only down to a single flash, it's looking pretty good. I think NIP were expecting a different sight, given they've got 6 breaching rounds here, which are for all intents and purposes, basically useless. You had a sledge to open hatches. You don't need those gadgets.
Psycho
They
knows
brought it.
he's
To go downstairs. Too easy. Bolo finds yet another. He is giving them the runaround here inside a white Tim.
I can only assume that Psycho thought that maybe Bolo had rotated underneath there. He's just going wild at the minute, and this all comes from that missed opportunity of Psycho. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe he doesn't see the pixel, but I'm almost certain that he must have done. He flicked towards it and then just went back paying his attention. I know he's worried about being pushed from lumber, but by just moving forward like that, he exposed himself too much. Bolo absolutely free to step up and get the kill. Great mid-round from him. It's all down to Julio. The time is gone. NIP lose, and TSM, finally we get a successful first defense of the top floor. Well played for the American side. Great job, to be fair. They just frustrated NIP there. They didn't give them anything. And as you say, Des, I'm not sure NIP were quite set up for that take.
If they'd done that in a scrim in NA, everyone would be going, why is he jumping out there, man? 2 jump outs from TSM in the first round? That looks calculated to me, if nothing else. Remembering again that we've already seen this map played by NIP, TSM can sit here and go, well, you've played it 3 times, you've won it once, you've lost it twice. We can see where you guys struggle. We know it's the clock. We know you play these positions. And they've capitalized on that well in the first round. 2 well-placed jump outs, netting them 2 kills. And Bolo has said the monster, the terror of White Corridor, keeping Pino guessing and able to give him a kill over the other way. Just very well played by TSM, not overly aggressive in terms of their positions being held, but all the work was done in those 2 jump outs.
Really well played. Going to be heading in round number 2 then down to a reading room. It's going to be our mid-floor site. We're going to see attention again to the top floor, just a little bit deeper this time. We probably might have somebody starting out in piano, but they'll drop away quite quickly. They'll allow NIP into the map probably a little bit more freely here because they've got to have utility on that mid-floor as well, so they can't completely commit to that top floor hold. But they are going to try and hold on to Cocktail TSM. That's going to be their focus over on the right-hand side of the map. They're going to try to lock down this east side for as long as possible because that's where your ceiling is above the site, and they're desperately, NIP want to get Pino in there and get him opening everything up. So we've got a couple of men stationed over there to begin with. That's going to continue as the round goes on. TSM, they will play their lives there for as long as possible. Looks like we might have somebody just roaming between barback storage and bathroom, which I like. It's a nice high line. Doesn't give NIP too much breathing space.
Yeah, and I like again that TSM are being aggressive here in their hold out towards the west, currently inside of storage, knowing that NIP are slow. What's the best thing you can do? Slow down that clock even further by giving them more problems in the round. And some describe the game. You speak to coaches, they'll look at it this way. Siege is a problem-solving game. You come across a shield setup with reinforcements, ADSs around. You need to figure out the solution. Most of the time, those solutions are already figured out, and it's just a case of doing them and executing them as you may have done many times over in scrims. But when something new comes in front of you, or you know that you've got to get through it and it takes time, that's when it can sting. And here, they're being held up towards whites, finally having that pixel shield blown away, only for the Frost to dip back away inside a bathroom.
And look at the effect of that first round as Muzi checking those windows. He's worried about the potential for the run out. Even if TSM don't actually play another run out, it will have now a lasting impact, a ripple effect through these first 6 rounds where NIP are going to have to be overly cautious about it and keeping their eye on it. It might just take their focus away from the goal.
Halfway into a round, nearly out of frags, basically out of flashes, still got 5 breaching rounds in back pocket that you want to be using on the floor to give you the visibility downstairs, just in case Pino falls by the wayside. All they've really done so far is clear out that shield on Pixel. TSM, unbothered, still in storage. Achieve playing below. Frost currently on Pixel. They're just in so many good key positions, and Achieve finds yet another entry. NIP being ground to a halt by TSM, and really here you're looking for a miracle. You're looking for a savior. And finally they're starting to step their way in. Muzi on the hunt downstairs for Achieved, who picked up his man just a few seconds ago inside a train. But I'll tell you what, Tim, it's not looking too good.
It's not at all, and Achieved has had so many of those important kills so far in the tournament, and there's another one for him. I've been so impressed by him up to this point. Gio's going to find himself downed, and a couple of kills come back in for NIP. They keep themselves fighting in the round. They've got time, but they don't have the map control, Des. That's the problem. There is still a man above them. I believe it's Bolo on the Frost, and he could be a nightmare, but Julio shuts him down with a headshot. That was essential. Achieved again. again. I keep shouting about him, and he keeps delivering. Third kill in the round, brings it back level, 2v2. He just won't allow his team to fall behind.
Oh my.
Uncharacteristic couple of first missed bullets from Pino there, but he does manage to lock down the kill. Onto Charla, finds the second onto Achieved, and I feel like TSM maybe just let NIP back into that one a little bit.
They do. With how it started, again, the time really working against NIP. No map control on side, no vertical control coming in, most importantly. You know, everything goes right for TSM strategically, but I've always said it, Tim, Siege, at its heart, is an FPS game. You need to be winning your gunfights or removing the need for them through things like C4s or the clock. But if you can't hit your shots, you're going to lose rounds. Achieve with a 3K, not enough to help TSM in round number 2. We're going to head down into Kitchen on this next setup. Imagine we're going to see more of those breaching rounds brought along, as this is the site where there is tons to get opened up.
There is absolutely that. They're going to want vertical control much quicker than they've gained it. We saw them get it there. Julio killing Bolo, about 40 seconds left on the clock, maybe a little bit less. They need much more time than this. Like you say, there's a lot to open up, there's a lot to clear out, there's a lot of work to be done. So NIP, we need to start seeing you wake up a little bit here, guys. You need to be getting yourself in there quickly, aggressively, and taking over those top 2 floors. Now, we know that is not necessarily words that we associate with NIP. Quickly, aggressively, taking control by the halfway mark. It's not always the case, and it is something that they suffer with, and they have done for quite a while, is running out of time, coming into executes in the last 5-10 seconds, not having a choice but to just slam a diffuser down wherever their feet find them, and they need to show us something different in these later stages.
I like what they got here in terms of the castle. Whenever I see a castle, you always get quietly excited about, oh, there's some crazy idea here.
They've got a plan. In the words of XR Troika, if you're bringing a castle, you've got a strat.
Is that what he says?
That's what he says. He's absolutely convinced about that.
I can hear the words in my head as well.
If you're bringing a castle, you got to strat. He means it more in terms of ranked, but, you know, it works. It's true. You just know there's a very specific thing going to happen if there's a castle on the board. Absolutely.
It normally means they're trying to control an area of the map to be able to retreat back through, for example, or slow defenders down. We've seen some really creative uses so far throughout the group stage. I'll look back towards the double castle barricades around Printer, for example, when you're defending staff an open area on Bank. Really good way of making sure no one's going to get in behind you whilst you're focusing up towards Square. But more about Bank later on. For now, we're looking at how this round's starting out. It's going to be a full map clear coming in for the side of NIP, it looks like, Tim, as we've already got Pino up on the top floor and several others looking to join him on top.
Psycho just going to open a couple of windows up there, try and support the clearance, cut off the potential, rotate back down red stairs. He's just going to likely hold that angle for a little while, see if he can catch any of these defenders out as they start to move, but they're not going to have to head in that sort of direction, I don't think. We've got the Rooney there of Bolo going to drop down the hatch that's been opened. Interesting play here, Des. They've got Freezer pretty much open.
Yep.
Hatch and wall. Access is there for NIP if they can clear out the people that are watching it. Very quick from NIP at least. They're on the mark, Des.
They're on the
for
130.
NIP, that's quick.
I love how on this map we both have our little sticklers, right? You at the bar and cocktail, me when attacking
130
downstairs.
for the hammer.
130 on the mark is where you need to be, or a bit quicker, that's also fine.
Like we say, for NIP, that's probably a little bit ahead of the curve because they do take their time sometimes, but they're looking for these vertical angles now. They haven't really had too much joy yet, but what they are doing is moving those defenders round, they're shifting them. VIP needs to be cleared out if they're going to look to play towards Freezer, which it looks like Muzi is heading in that direction. The nades start raining in from above, but still TSM are doing well here. They're keeping themselves out of trouble. Achieved is going to be the player inside of VIP on the smoke, if my eyes don't deceive me, and that is going to be a critical position here for him to hold on to. Gio just taking a lot of damage there inside of Kafe, and he could be in trouble if that pressure continues.
First smoke coming out as well for a bit of support. It's going to be a very hot drop coming in for NIP at this stage, it looks like. Still going to burn through more of those smokes, but they stay online. Julio finding Bolo, who had a fantastic round 1. Quiet in round 2, non-existent in round 3. Merc finds one back on the other side, so a 4 versus 4 as we get towards that last 10 seconds. Psycho's dropped in, but they've got to look in for the plant. Achieved on a bit of a late swing here, waiting for Muzi to come down on white stairs. But Tim, the plant needs to start now. Kamikaze into position inside of Kafe, starting it down, but oh, there's an echo. Unlucky, I guess.
If you remember, Des, at the beginning of that round, I said quite often, NIP will come in and try to plant with 10 or 5 seconds left because they have to, because they've got to that point, and that is exactly the problem that we've just seen there. Muzi goes in, 3 seconds left to go, have to try and pop the diffuser down, doesn't have a choice about where or whether there's cover in place or many of the other things that you would like to be going on whilst you have a plant go down, and when there's an echo on the other side, it's a great pick from TSM. You know, you look at a team like NIP, you think, could be a few really late plants here. Let's play the Echo. Gonna get us a couple of free rounds. And that's exactly what the Yokai drone does there. Well played from TSM. NIP for the first half of it, great. Got themselves in, got map control, working the verticals, damage onto Geo. They just never dealt with Achieved inside of VIP. Something that they needed to do, really. Clear that shield out and get Achieved moved. And then they could have focused and had better cover for Muzi. You know, all the other things start falling into place.
The comp overall was just built to slow them down, right, when you looked at it. You know, looking in towards the castle, in towards the Yokais. Everything was just about wasting time and forcing them into a very rushed ending. And that's exactly what TSM got. Read NIP like a book. Now, what I like here on the top floor, that sounded a weird way to say book, didn't it? I've always been told I said book weird, though. I got like book rather than book. Book. How do you say? You say book as well?
You can't say book.
I know, it sounds really weird, didn't it?
Why would you say that?
You're going to so my missus always
Some people in the UK say book like reading a book or because of the double O sound. They'll say book and Luke.
So this is the thing. My missus is like from near Cambridge, bless her heart and soul. Like she's not from Cambridge. She always tells me she's from the crap area near Cambridge. But she always goes to me, you say pub, and it should be like pub. It should be book with like a H in it. I hate it, and I'm just like, no, you live near me. It's book, it's pub, and it's castle, not castle. Come on. Speaking of castle, there is one in this round once again. And I did think we were going to see it when you see the Irunian castle pairing on this site. You know exactly what you're going to get. We've got the double setup coming in inside the windows, inside of Piano itself. So this one here will protect the player that is inside of Cigar Shop itself. Words evade me for a second. They did have a castle on the south side of things. Obviously, that's now been changed away. And there's a laser gate on this single wall because teams always want to come in inside that right-hand one because you're more tucked in against the hard wall. Can't be challenged from Pixel as you step through into the wall if you open up the right-hand one.
Muzi working from underneath there just to try and soften up a little bit of utility. Sends in the Ash Breach in charge to do some work from underneath. We can see that it opens the castle barricade. That's an interesting one I'm not sure I've seen before. It's a nice little angle, a nice little way of doing that. You don't have to risk yourself on the rappel of the piano windows, which is usually what we see. And yeah, I'm all for that. That's going to open that up. There's still the laser gate to be dealt with. Pino is on that white rappel again. Now, interestingly, he's got both of his nades this time, Des. Not been used to clear out castles, for example. So he could aggress much easier into bathroom from there.
Yeah, Charlie just burning through the clock here as well, but 90 seconds in, and NIP do not have boots inside the map yet. They're on the rappel, they're holding up on the red hatch, but no one's gone for a drop, understandably, because they want to clear Charla out. A nade finally coming through. He's down, but not out. Still has the cover coming in, and Achieved, I think, was looking to give some support from below, but he's now dipped away too. Psycho, they're obviously not aware that he was down for a brief second. Not a bad hold, though. If on that hold you're losing a man, but burning through 2 minutes of the clock, I'd count that as a win, Tim.
That's quite all right. As we've said, it's TSM's strategy, or it appears to be, to waste as much time as possible. So that is a positive for them. Pino sends one nade into Lumber. Oh, he sees the man too late. Nade already in his hand and Achieved with another one of those important kills. I'm going to keep stressing it because his kills come at critical moments. It was a potential for NIP to be 2 men ahead at this point, but no, Achieved keeps them in touch. 3 versus 4. Psycho gets aggressive into sight, shut down in the crossfire. Bolo, Merc, they don't need to move to find themselves one apiece. Bolo doubles down. It's all up to Julio, and that is a sentence that I keep repeating, but the outcome... Exactly what TSM were able to do there. 2 minutes wasted inside a cigar, and that means that that's 2 minutes that everybody else has been left alone because the focus was cigar and bathroom. And neither of them really got dealt with. So then, as we saw, Merc and Bolo, they're just sat waiting. So at the point where you have to just push into bar, they're going to cut you down.
It's a total change away from what we saw earlier on. Now you've got Merc on the castle rather than Geo. You've got Bolo playing on the smoke. Charla going across onto the mute and Achieved on the Kaid. So a very defensively orientated setup. That said, Bolo is playing with the FMG, and we've seen what Citizen and EUL pioneered, which was bringing on Chalet. What he'd do is take the shield, he would set up on Mezzanine by himself when they were defending up towards Master and Office. He would, or sometimes inside of Bar and Gaming, and he'd go and sit out there with the FMG. And his whole thing in the interview he said to us after was, well, his gadget's great, he's got a shield and we need a shield and don't want to pick Warden. The FMG is a really good gun. And that started echoing across several different teams then, for example. We saw it coming into Rogue, they started doing it, a couple of others tried it as well. And it's now really kind of rippled around the world where sometimes you do get these more aggressive operators, or players, sorry, picking up more supportive operators because it gives you the utility you need and you still get a great gun.
Achieved is going well so far. I've shouted him out a couple of times. 5 and 2, and very, very sort of crucially timed.
3 of those on the entry, isn't it?
Yeah,
or was it 2?
2, I think.
On the first 2 rounds.
First 2 rounds. Yeah, going very well so far, and like I say, a lot of his times are sort of really, a lot of his kills are really well timed. You know, important kills, and for me, quietly, he's been one of the best players in the tournament so far.
Well, stats will tell you you're lying. That's Merc.
I know that. When you look at the impact on rounds and what he's done, honestly, Achieved is
yeah, he keeps himself
very,
busy.
very well.
What I love here, by the way, is the setup they've actually got inside of storage, where the Maverick is sorely needed in this round. I'm glad they brought it along. They've also got 6 nades now, by the way, so dropping away 3 breaching charges they've bought previously to get another set of nades on the board. What they want to do is get rid of this electro clear inside of storage. It's also been castled off, so it is very much a fortress they need to get into here. And Tim, I don't want to say it's always coming down to the clock, but 75 seconds in, they're still trying to just get control of storage, and TSM aren't even in there anymore.
Nope, they've dropped away. They're going to be playing underneath, and what a nitro from Achieve. That man again, up through the floor, through the wall, finds his mark, and that is an absolute beauty to take Pino down. Muzi, he's going to level things up with a kill onto Merc, but this one is starting to reach those elevated heights that we knew it could. We're starting to see the finesse, Des, from these two teams, and we are starting to see some beautiful kills.
I keep on seeing more of these. Absolutely wonderful. Yes, you've got rid of Pino as well. And what did they do, Tim? What did I say they changed away? They drop breaching rounds to bring more nades. The risk you take there is if your sledge dies, you haven't got as much potential to open things up. And now they might start paying the price for that. Pino, the one being picked up, I believe, also dies. Yes, he does, with both frag grenades in back pocket. It's probably one of the best operators they could have picked up at that point in the round. Dream start for TSM.
Muzi, he's got that top floor control now. He's just looking towards site itself. Just see if he can catch anybody out on the rotate. I don't think he'll have such luck.
Oh, good night.
Quite the opposite, in fact, as Charla steps around and gets himself a nice kill on the reverse vertical, hitting him through the hatch and taking Muzi down. TSM now in the advantage. 4 versus 3, 25 seconds left to go, and NIP once again find themselves in a tough situation. Psycho's just hunting for kills. He's trying to sniff out anything he can find here, but he's not going to, because look how stationary those TSM defenders are. They've no interest in peeking, Des. They've no interest in taking the challenges. Bolo's going to wait for the freest kill of the day as he moves through the fireplace. Time is ticking. In comes a flurry of kills. Can NIP do this? Absolutely not. Kamikaze putting that diffuser down, but he has to come off as the challenge was on its way. And TSM, they win another, this time courtesy of the clock. But really, that's pretty much been the story throughout, Des, because whilst it might not have been physically on time that a number of these rounds have been won, it's still been down in those final seconds for NIP, and a desperate last throw of the dice that fails.
Well, like I say, in that round, the key kill for me was the first one onto NIP. Sledge, Pino falling by the wayside, not just taking away 2 of those additional frags they opted to bring after the tactical timeout, but just crumbling their ability to open things up from above, which meant a push down white. It meant playing around hatches. Just not an ideal start for them in the round, which really, I think, crippled it before it even got started. 4-1 to TSM on the defensive side of things. I don't want to get too excited, Tim, because we have been shown so many times throughout the group stage that when we switch sides and the team that's losing real hard in the first half gets onto defense or attack on some maps, things can completely change around, because of course the clock then really works in your favor for NIP and not against you, as it has done in all of these attacking rounds. Kitchen going to be where we close things out, and it's another setup coming through like we saw before, Tim. We didn't really touch on it too much at the start of the round. We mentioned it at the end. The whole setup is just built around time wasting. The castle, the laser gates, the yokai drones, the smokes. If TSM can keep NIP at bay the same way they did in the prior round until the last 30 seconds or so, I don't see how NIP walk away the winner under any circumstance.
That's it. NIP have got to adapt here. They've got to adjust. They've got to recognise what they didn't do last time. If they're going to go for that freezer-sided push again, please, please, please clear out VIP as soon as you possibly can, because you need to be able to play in and around the bottom of White Stairs in that garage area to be able to have the proper cover to get the diffuser down. You've got to be able to get multiple people inside a freezer with not having to worry about that flank from the rear side. Get somebody down onto VIP window, push in from this side of the map. Pino's doing it, he's there. That's what we want. Don't allow them to sit inside of there. Merc is going to be in an important position here to try and prevent that happening and provide a little bit of support to anybody who's playing over in VIP, which is exactly where we find Achieved again. No surprise, because it worked brilliantly last time.
Beautiful stuff. Alrighty. We're at that mark, Tim. You know I always talk about the 130, about that being the point of vertical control for Pino. It's not there right now. They are going to find one inside a coat, and this very really should be dipping away. Otherwise, a nade is going to come singing in towards Merc. And sure enough, that Bolo, I'm a liar, has stepped himself in towards Restaurant. You've got Merc still sat around coat checks, so looking to bait out a nade maybe, but doesn't want to get too aggressive. Otherwise, he'll come singing through and he'll be gone, especially with that laser gate being down. Bolo taking a little bit of damage as he gets clipped by the edge of a grenade coming in from the window, but look at just how aggressive TSM are. They said, you know what? If you aren't going to play vertical, we'll match you laterally. That's absolutely no problem by us.
That's it. NIP are changing things up. They are trying to do things differently, but they're just coming up against a brick wall at the minute. They cannot move any of these defenders. Bolo, Merc and Achieved are all still in the same position they were 1 minute 40 ago at the beginning of the round. Des, they're even resetting laser gates here. It's just TSM are absolutely on point on this defense. You've got two defenders over to the left-hand side, not even involved in this round so far. They haven't had to move. They can just sit on cameras. They can just try and feed info. They can just run the game at this point. There's everybody's stationary. There's 1 minute to go.
It happens again, time and time again. I keep on saying for TSM, they're just holding these positions, not feeling, rattled too much by the side of NIP, and certainly not as Charla finds the entry. And the last 50 seconds or so for the first kill to come through, again, is going to really slow NIP down. They get one back, but Muzi hits the deck in a little bit of a trade. It's not a full trade, but the kill comes through for Achieve regardless. A 4 versus 3. The laser gate back online. Everything's reset back to how it was essentially at the start of the round, Tim. NIP have got 2 left. The Yokai is still online as well to shut things down if it comes to it. They've got a shield to play into. They're finally out of smoke canisters, but I don't see NIP getting this round.
And this is where Merc is going to cover Achieve. There you go. It's just so perfect. Kamikaze pushed at the same time, gets the kill, but it's just far too late. 10 seconds pushing in through Freezer. Easiest kill of Gio's career as he catches him in the vault there. He comes through nice and easy, and that is going to be another round for TSM, and they are absolutely flying right now. The one thing that I would say, the one cautionary tale, and I'm not going to say it for here on Kafe because I'm not sure that NIP have got too much in the tank here. They really do look like they're struggling. What I would say NIP are a very good team at doing is resetting. They'll come out of Kafe regardless of how this finishes, and they'll come into Coastline strong. So TSM, they need to be ready for that mentally. This is not going to all go their way, I wouldn't expect.
Hang tight for a minute as well, Tim. We're not done with Kafe yet.
I know. There's still time to...
I know what you're saying.
NIP are just seriously on the ropes.
They are on the ropes, but we've seen teams come back from like 5-1 before. We saw an almost come back from a 6-0, for example. There's been all kinds of craziness, and for NIP, they're going for very much a similar setup to what we saw coming out of TSM. So you're looking in towards the castle, you're looking in towards the Aruni, you've got the Wamai on side here rather than the Jaeger, so small stylistic differences, but very much a same sort of vibe. On the other side for TSM, what have we got? Well, we've got the Nomad coming in, great for the flank watch. Bolo's playing on the Finker, so no Iana on side. It's always been, I don't say always, for a while it was kind of a toss-up between do you bring Iana, do you bring Finker? And there was a really good discussion at some point. I think Lycan was involved in the discussion where he said something to the effect of Finker on LAN is just really, really good because of the ADS time, for example, the heal that it gives to you. Everything is so instant, and gunfights are the difference maker. So having that kind of extra juice going into a fight can be really, really valuable. I'm not saying that's the sole reason why Bolo's picked it up here, but it could be a contributing factor towards why they want the Finker over the Iana.
We're going to have we're going to have somebody playing in Charla's position is what I was going to say. It's going to be Kamikaze on the smoke. He's going to try and hold that down. They've done it a little bit differently by the looks of things. He's just going to take the hits on that barricade so that he can take it out much quicker in future. It doesn't affect the clearance of it for TSM more than likely. They're going to use some explosives to clear that out, so it doesn't really change the functionality of that castle barricade in these circumstances where it might do normally if somebody was going to come face to face with it. Bolo in his signature position here, Des. We've said it countless times. He's going to use the Gon 6 to clear off the first castle. Normally we may see him on the Zofia here and he would clear off the second castle barricade and look to challenge onto the player inside a cigar shop. That's obviously not going to be possible for him on the Finker, but he does have other methods of potentially getting rid of that. He could use a nade, or somebody else could do it for him, and we could see a lovely little bit of teamwork coming out.
Yeah, I'm looking again at the clock, because for NIP, it's all fair for us to sit here and say, slow team, not attacking very well. TSM are finding themselves in a similar spot. We've seen ourselves go through 80 seconds. They've got themselves on roofs. They're watching flanks, but NIP aren't bothered. They've still got one inside a cigar shop, one in storage, one in bathroom. They aren't being challenged by TSM, so TSM have got to get themselves stepping forwards a bit here, looking to go more aggressive, because right now, it's looking slow.
It is, and they may well, like you say, suffer a same fate to NIP. We certainly won't be criticising NIP and letting TSM get away with it. We are nearly 2 minutes in and they are not yet inside the building, Des. They haven't taken the hatch drop, they're not inside of Piano, and they're going to have a lot of work to do when they do finally get there. NIP are just playing their positions. They are quite happy to stay as they are. That's going to be a misfire to begin with from Merc. He's on the concussion grenade, which will be no use against the utility that he was trying to clear. The second one goes through and does the job, and that is going to leave us now with Merc downed as well.
And then you pour the juice and up he gets. Easy peasy. I think he was trying to be careful of any Wamai magnets that were stationed inside a cigar, which have been obviously dealt with here, as both of those did go through. They've now got one. It's Bolo looking to go for a very cheeky swing. If he can get the swing in and win this gunfight, it could be massive. It opens up wide. Muzi turning his back at the wrong moment. But we're down to 25 seconds, Tim. TSM need to pull the trigger and get moving now. Otherwise, NIP win by the clock. I don't think in this phase they're aware that someone's down inside the bags, crouched down. Psycho finding one, a swing comes in, but the Merc gets a shutdown. A 3 versus 3, 10 seconds on the clock. 2 coming for TSM. A 3 versus 2. They're both hanging around white. One's in cocktail. They're going for a plant on the default. I don't think they can stop this one, Tim. This should be a plant going through. It's going to be a retake scenario for NIP. Otherwise, it's 6-1.
TSM just showing a better capability to get in and get that diffuser down in the final seconds. It's something that NIP were unable to achieve. Merc half health though, he's got to stick this out in a 1v1. He's up against Julio, a man who we know can be calm in these critical situations. He's going to find a way if there is one. Merc is there waiting. The shield is cleared out. Smart move from Julio. Knows that Merc is likely using the utility against them. Knows where the diffuser is now. Has 10 seconds to find his kill. And there he comes up against their own castle barricade. There's the peak hole in the wall that's going to allow Merc to make this challenge. It is too late. Nothing Julio can do about it. Well played from Merc.
To get involved in this match, it feels so far.
He had a great double kill in the middle of the round there. And if NIP come away with a win, we're probably saying that it was pivotal. He hit himself prone at bags, saw the man coming round the corner, drops the diffuser, spins 180, gets one inside a Piano. It was really well played from Psycho, and he only had about 20 HP left at that point as well, so he really maximised his life, but it just wasn't enough. Like I say, maybe you talk about that double kill differently if NIP come away with the round, but the big difference maker there is, and I'm sort of glad that TSM played it in that way, because it gives us this like direct comparison. Slow round from NIP lose and don't manage to get the execute off. Slow round from TSM, they get the plant down and win the round, and it is just that director difference at the minute.
Okay, I mean, looking at the key differences you're already seeing in this round, Tim, how many breaching rounds do you count?
A few.
None. Top left of your screen. Absolutely none on side for TSM. Because remember NIP? They brought 6. They were relying on that plus a sledge to do all their vertical destruction for them. TSM, whether you call it confidence or a little bit being risk-taking maybe, I don't know, but achieved is their key to getting these vertical angles opened up. There's no secondary shotguns or anything of the like coming in here to help them if he goes down. Think about what happened when they had 3 in back pocket breaching rounds, that is, and Pino died early on the sledge. They still couldn't get enough opened up. So really, achieved is the key in this round for me. If they don't look for a lateral take, that is, he needs to be alive right till the very end to make sure they've got the verticals, can make the defenders sweat, and they can make good use of this top floor. It's the whole reason why teams want top floor control is so that you can play vertically.
Look at the speed coming in from TSM. They're going to open things up. There's blood in the water, Des, and boy, do TSM know it. Bolo gets himself the opener onto Julio. Achieved in to double down on that advantage. Takes down Achieved, and it's 4 versus 3 inside of 50 seconds. We're seeing a very different attack from TSM to what we saw throughout the 6 attacking rounds of NIP. Now then, Psycho could find his man as he comes around the corner. He's inside of the utility room there, but I'm not sure that Psycho's quite aware of his position. Muzi's going to come down white stairs, and TSM need to be careful. Bolo could find himself trapped here, and he is indeed picked up from above and from horizontally as Psycho manages to get that kill and level things off 3-3.
Cozy. I mean, Bolo there just being completely blindsided by aggression. You probably wouldn't expect at that point in the round as well. He thought he was in a good position to hold it down. Would have turned around and aimed for the hatch a little bit later on when more pressure came in from his team, but Psycho chose the early exit and found a good kill to bring things back to 3 versus 3. Charla finding another. Pino and Psycho, all that stand between TSM and a 7-1. It's a big nade kill coming in for Achieve. What a map he's had at 10-4. I said he had to be alive until the end. It's less so the sledge work in this case. It's the nades that are coming in from above, and they've got 70 seconds to find where Psycho is and close this round out, Tim.
Definite opportunity for them to get in, maybe stick the diffuser down, like you say, just force Psycho to make a play. 50 seconds, not even going to matter.
Easy.
I was just going to say 50 HP left. Charla finds him on the white stairs, closes it out, and what an unexpected result for TSM. I'm not saying that we didn't think they'd win it necessarily, but a 7-1 against reigning world champs. It looks like NIP have wound the clock back to day 1 here, Des.
I think, to be honest, it's just really smart prep